The metaverse has a groping problem.
Oh, why am I laughing at that?
That's rude, Will.
Such a weird detour.
A
Anyways.
woman was sexually harassed on Meta's VR social media platform. She's not the first and won't be the last. Okay. What are the rules? What are the laws in the metaverse? That's obviously where we would go looking at something like this. In video games, well, people kill each other in video games, all right?
They do.
I don't know if you've
much worse things.
I don't know if
as well.
I don't know if you've ever noticed that. Now, maybe the metaverse is not a video game. Maybe the metaverse is more like life. That's what Zuckerberg would probably tell you. He's like, it's where you connect with friends and spend your cryptos and live your life because you're and if people agree that that's what is going to happen in the metaverse, that it is going to be some kind of a thing that mimics life or replaces life or is like life, is a part of life, then you're going to, I guess, have to have some sort of rules around behavior, some sort of rules about how you interact with other people that are there that have their own. And then I guess, is that laws? Are we talking about having laws in the metaverse? I think we are, Will. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah, we have to govern the metaverse somehow.
You and I?
Hopefully not.
Metaverse vigilantes. We're running around, SWAT outfits.
Yeah, no, that's too much power.
Yeah, no. But who then is Zuckerberg? So Zuckerberg is god of Horizon Worlds, and all of a sudden, what, the guy's got a timeout? Is he suspended? What is the penalty for such things? How can you prove that whatever movement he was doing in Horizon Worlds was actually groping? It's very complex.
Yeah. So the app in question is called Horizon Worlds or Horizon World. There's a girl who was in there just kind of interacting with the world, and the person came up and did what they did. Now in
the headline said grope, by the way.
Yeah. In Meta's defense, they actually have a precaution in place. It's called Safe Zone. Do you know what that is?
No, this is news to me. Go ahead.
Okay, so this Safe Zone, apparently you can enable it, and it creates like a bubble around you, like a virtual bubble. Where no one can come near you, and you can't, like, no one can talk to you. You can't talk to them. It's just kind of like you're literally a safe virtual bubble.
You can't get COVID in there either.
Yeah, it's completely safe.
In the bubble.
Yeah, sanitized, everything.
Right.
So it's a feature that they have.
Yeah.
And I guess that's just their defense.
According to Meta,
at least right now.
On November 26th, a beta tester reported something deeply troubling. She had been groped by a stranger on Horizon Worlds. On December 1st, Meta revealed that she'd posted her experience in the Horizon Worlds beta testing group on Facebook. Meta's internal review of the incident found that the beta testers should have used a tool called Safe Zone. That's part of a suite of safety features built into Horizon Worlds. Safe Zone is a protective bubble users can activate when feeling threatened. Within it, no one can touch them, talk to them, or interact in any way until they signal that they would like the Safe Zone lifted. But isn't the whole point to interact? Like, if you can't...
Not touchy though.
So, but this seems like you can't interact at all once the bubble is on.
Yeah.
Once you go
it's
bubble.
the fact that you can turn it on and off at your will.
So do you have to, so you physically can't you just turn the whole thing off?
You can just like take off the goggles.
Okay. All right. But so you don't want to leave the metaverse, but you don't like what's going on in the metaverse. So you go bubble in the metaverse.
Yeah.
It's all very,
it is very interesting. It's like you're in this interactive world, but you want to put in like a safe, you're put in a safe bubble not to interact with anybody.
Interaction is risky in general, in the sense that There's manipulation that can take place. People talk about it with youngsters, obviously, interacting with people who want to threaten them in the real world, but might make a point of contact inside of a virtual world.
Sure, yeah.
So there's
Bullying.
well, bullying, but also predators, different types of predators.
Yeah.
So you're never going to be able to completely patrol it. And I'm really curious. I mean, the bubble is an interesting idea. And I guess you're going to have resources, like ways for people to lodge complaints and identity aspects. And imagine being falsely accused. Like,
Yeah.
how do you prove it's all? Yeah, it's a whole new thing. And Zuckerberg runs it all. So you also kind of have to trust. You have to trust an independent entity. It's not like a government setting these rules. The government is the company that runs Horizon Worlds, which in this case is Facebook. Well, Meta. My apologies, Mark.
Yeah.
Very complex.
And they paint it very exciting. Like you can do whatever you
no
want.
One's getting no one is getting groped in that clip at all. I mean, as far as I can tell. But all joking aside, there absolutely is. There could be a threat. Just because it's virtual doesn't mean there can't be a threat, or that something can't materialize in real life, or that something can't be traumatizing in video game life.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just the method in which, like whether, like how, what kind of tools can really be in place, and what kind of punishments, I guess, or deterrence they can have for the other people who the guilty culprits, and then how do you keep them off? Can they just make another profile, another avatar, or find a way back in?
Yeah, the metaverse is a very complex structure because you're kind of like in a society in and of itself. So that needs to be regulated.
I know, but they're not calling it a game. It's not like you're booting up Warzone in order to shoot one another, right? Where the rules are well understood. It's a constant topic of debate on message boards after the article was whether or not what she had experienced was actually groping if her body wasn't physically touched.
Yeah. That gets very complicated as well.
I think people should keep in mind that sexual harassment has never had to be a physical thing. It can be verbal, and yes, it can be a virtual. I think the problem, it can be, but the problem would be the definition, figuring out the definition, because it obviously is a different experience, the virtual version of it versus having a physical threat in your presence. Because like you said, you still have the off of taking it off. Although maybe people don't feel that way. This is the complexity. Because when you talk about bullying, people do things in their real life because of something that happened on Facebook.
Right.
That they feel it's so real or so permanent or so threatening that they do something in real life as a consequence. So it is squirrely in that sense. But when we have these real world words that obviously are derived based on or attached to experiences in the real world and the threat associated with those experiences, you almost wonder if you kind of need new ones to adjust for the virtual equivalent of real world things. Because obviously for this person, there's people who have experienced the same thing in real life and might be sitting there saying, hey, that's not the same thing. That they might exist as well. Saying you need another word for that because the threat is different.
Yeah, and this story
the amount of threat, the intensity of the threat, although that's up to the individual to a certain extent. It's like being terrified watching a horror movie. Maybe everybody isn't, but maybe some people, you hook them up to fMRI and their brain is lighting up and their pulse is elevated just watching the fiction play out, even though they know it's fake.
Yeah. Either way, this stuff is starting to become more and more common. Yeah. There's another story in here as well about groping in a different app, like I think it's called Quiver. How this other person, her husband was watching as well as her brother-in-law, was watching this thing happen while she's being groped in the virtual world.
So you got to turn the thing off if you're bothered. Turn it off. You know how to turn
Yeah.
it off. Turn it off if you're bothered. If you're being actually harassed, I mean, please, people, turn it off.
Yeah.
If it's affecting you, if you're emotionally distraught, if some kind of creepy, turn it off. I mean, you can't forget that you can turn it off. And I know what you're saying. Saying, why should I have to turn it off? That other person should have to turn it off or whatever. But no, if it gets to the point that it's you can turn things off, at least these things.
Yeah. Yeah, you have that choice. So,
I mean, look at all this work they did on the app to give you the safe zones and the horizon and everything else. And you're like, don't let one person ruin it. And I'm not saying you got to turn it off completely, but like, I mean, we can't lose that ability to at least temporarily.
mm-hmm.
You got to hit the power switch every so often, no?
That's what Mark doesn't want you to do.
No, Mark definitely wants you to stay metaversing. Absolutely. By the way, I'm not sipping whiskey. That's just how good this coffee is. That's just how, this is comp tier coffee, man.
Yeah.
Shout
out.
I'm just savoring.
Okay.
That's the word I wanted.
It's not spiked, is it?
I'm savoring.
Okay.
Man.
All right.
Come on, Will.
Okay.